Oh, okay, I never thought about it that way.
And their partner is over there fuming because the partner is like, I've been saying that. I've been saying that every day, every week. I've communicated that. Hey, welcome back to my channel, or just welcome if you are new. My name is Eboni Harris, and I'm a relationship therapist based in Houston, Texas. Today, I am going to be talking about expectations. So I know when it comes to relationships, we have expectations, right? That's just a normal part of relationships. But what I've noticed with working with clients a lot of times is that there's this like frustration / expectation / comparison of the people in their lives and their therapist. And this comes up a lot. When I think about expectations, I'm often thinking about like how we go into a situation hoping it's one way, and when it's not that way, we're disappointed, and then we take it out on the person. And when I'm working with clients, I notice that as I am like doing my thing as a therapist, they then get frustrated when they start to think about the people in their lives that don't understand them in the same way that their therapist does. I want to pause for a second. My window faces a street that typically there aren't a lot of cars on, but today there are a lot, so just when you hear the background noise, I do apologize. So back to the topic. I wanted to kind of just jump on and talk about two of the most common expectations or frustrations that I hear from clients, and just kind of give a little bit of understanding as to why that is the case. Why is it normal that your therapist might be able to understand things in a way that your partner, that your family, that your friends may not? So as a relationship therapist, I work with couples and individuals, right? I do couples therapy. I absolutely love it. I also work with individuals. I love that too. I love talking to people about life, about relationships, about sex, about what they're struggling with, and helping them get to a better space. But oftentimes, because this is my job, I am truly trying to show that I understand and I get their perspective, and I'm really curious about learning more about their perspective. But because of that, people often feel as though like, why do you get it and you're not in my life, but this person over here doesn't? And so when we say things, or if I make a comment related to, oh yeah, that makes sense because you felt this way because you thought that person meant this, and you thought she was saying this, and all of that, and you're like, yes, like why can't they get that? Like, all I'm saying is da 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 da, right? And I understand the frustration, right? You don't know me. I mean, I have clients that I've seen for years, but a lot of clients, come, they're new. They've only, either I'm their first therapist, or even if they've been to other therapists. But a lot of times, because I work primarily with the Black community, I'm their first therapist that they've seen. And they'll just be like, yes, like, why doesn't this person who knows me, who's been in my life, who I see every single day, why don't they get it? And the other one is the frustration around, if I have been telling you something as a partner, I've been telling you every day, this hurts my feelings, this hurts my feelings, I don't like when you do this, if you could just do this, it would make it better, this really hurts my feelings, and you're just like, I don't get it, I don't know what the problem is, because that's a common, I just don't know what the problem is, after the person has just told you what the problem was. But when they come into couples therapy, then I say, okay, so it sounds like this person feels hurt when you do this, and they take it this way, even though that's not your intention, they take it this way, right? And they'll be like,
oh, okay, I never thought about it that way.
And their partner is over there fuming because the partner is like, I've been saying that. I've been saying that every day, every week. I've communicated that. And so I just wanted to kind of go through a few differences in the way that I communicate, the way that I am trained, that probably makes a big difference in how your therapist, is able to interact with you, is able to understand you, versus how other people in your life are able to understand and interact with you. So the first one is what I just said. I am a trained professional. I chose to study therapy because I was good at listening, because I'm interested in humans, because I'm just curious about why people make the decisions they make, all of that. And so when I'm having a conversation with a client, there is a lot of curiosity on my part. It's a lot of me, because I don't know you. I don't live in your world. And so that means that you know more about your world than I do. And so I can't make any assumptions because I'm not there with you, right? I'm not seeing anything. So I truly have to learn from you. As a trained professional, we are taught how to listen in an effective way, i.e. active listen, right? Actively listening. We are taught how to hear what the person is saying, kind of think about it and give it back to them in a way that maybe has a little bit more insight, or to help them make connections of, what is this kind of related to that? Or do you think that might be why you feel this way about that, right? And literally, this is something that I am trying to do. I understand that there are a lot of good listeners out there. I understand that there are people that can help decipher what you mean when you say this thing, but it's just not as common as you would think. And so when you have this frustration because your therapist gets it, right? You understand me. It's so simple, but somebody else can't. Then it feels like it must be a problem with the other person, versus the understanding that this person is trained to do this, right? As a therapist, I am trained to truly hear and understand what you are saying. I am trained to be able to make connections and why you said it that way. And I also nitpick a lot more than you probably would want anybody in your regular life to, because I'm going to say, wait, you use this word. What does this word mean? Why did you use that word exactly, right? Which is frustrating when you're in regular conversation. So just starting with the fact that I am a trained professional and this is what I do, then you can't compare people that have not been taught how to communicate, have not been taught empathy and compassion and all of that, are living in a world that is solely based on their perspective, their experiences and all of that, to be able to treat you the same way that a therapist would. So that's number one. The other part of it is, this isn't a reciprocal relationship, right? It's reciprocal in you pay me and I give you services, but it's not reciprocal in you have to be concerned about my needs, my wants, my desires, and all of that. This relationship is solely about you. So for an hour or 90 minutes a week, you have one person that is completely focused on you, listening to you, and not focused on my perspective. I'm not focused on how your experience impacts me, because it doesn't. And so that's one part of the relationship that you have to understand, that because what you say doesn't impact me or anything I have going on in my life, that gives you a lot more freedom, and it gives me a lot of space to truly just hear you and not try to decipher it to understand, like, well, how does this impact me? Which again, when you are in personal relationship with someone, and especially a romantic, intimate relationship, it can be extremely difficult to have someone just talk at you and you just take what they're saying, and you have to pretend like that doesn't impact you in any type of way. That's just not the reality, because as humans, when we are interacting with someone, we are thinking about, like, okay, well, if they feel this way, then how does that impact me? How do they feel about me? And I understand that it's a lot of times it's not personal, but that is just human nature. We are built to protect ourselves. We are built to kind of put ourselves, we are the center of our world. That's just the reality of who we are. And we're also built to look for danger or concerns or problems so that we can try to fix it or we can escape from it. And so because of that, when you say something to a partner, they might hear what you're saying and understand it, but they also are understanding from their perspective of, like, well, that wasn't my experience, or that's wasn't what I was trying to say. And so that creates more of an issue. And with it not being a reciprocal relationship, that means you don't have to be concerned about how it impacts me. You just don't. You don't have to be worried about, like, well, what is Eboni going to think? And is she going to be mad at me? Or is she going to think I meant this when I really meant that? Because the reality is, I don't care, in the sense of, I don't care, like, it doesn't impact me in that way. I care about you and your well-being, and I want what's best for you, but that's my only concern. It doesn't matter. If you tell me, I don't feel like this therapeutic relationship is working for me, it's like, oh, that sucks. Okay, cool. What can we do to make it work better? Or do I need to refer you out? Because the reality is, we do not have a personal relationship. We have a therapeutic relationship. And I think that's the biggest thing for people to understand, is that there is a difference between a therapeutic relationship, which is one-sided, right? It's not reciprocal, which is with a trained professional, and it's based on you and you only. The other thing to be aware of is, I'm always coming from a place of curiosity and trying to understand you. I'm not thinking about my own experiences. I'm not thinking, well, I went through this, so you must feel that way. No, I need to hear from you. There are certain aspects, of course, being a Black woman, being in a relationship, parent relationships, all that kind of stuff, where I can typically understand, like, oh, this may be your experience as well, because this was my experience. But even when I'm presenting that, it's coming from a place of, like, let me know if this resonates with you, because it sounds like you're going through this, which I understand because I've went through it, or because I understand because I've worked with people that have went through it, because when I work with Black men, I have a lot of understanding of some of their experiences because of the other Black men I've worked with. So a lot of times it's coming from this place of, like, this could be similar to what I've heard before, what I've experienced, but for the most part, my experience is not really in the therapy room. I am being curious. I'm trying to understand from you what does this feel like for you? What is this experience? And it is a different feeling to have someone that's solely looking at your experience and understanding your experience, because it gives you a space to truly because it gives you a place to truly reflect on, okay, what did this mean and why did I feel that way and all of that, right? When it's just about you and you only. So I think that's a lot that needs to be focused on when it comes to this idea of, why does my therapist get me more than my partner? Why does my therapist get me more than my mom or my sister or whoever these people are, my friends that I spend so much time with? And those are a few of the reasons, a lot more of course, but those are a few of the reasons. One more thing that truly does impact how someone shows up in therapy, that truly impacts how someone is able to be comfortable in like even hearing things differently than they would at home or when you say it to them, is the fact that I have learned and I have cultivated safe spaces. I work really, really hard to make sure that when people are in therapy with me, that they feel safe enough to be able to talk openly, to be able to be vulnerable, and to really listen and hear what's going on without feeling like it's going to be used against them or be an attack later. And so this means that when I work with individuals, obviously it's easier because it's just us, so I can make them feel understood. Hey, whatever you say is safe, we'll navigate it together. Even if you say, sometimes people say like, I really shouldn't be thinking this way. And I'm like, but why? You should be thinking this way. Like, I want you to think about like the worst, like, okay, my brain goes here, because then once we find out, okay, so your brain goes, let's figure out why it goes there, right? So I create these safe spaces for us to be able to have these vulnerable moments and for people to really be able to open up and share so that I can truly understand who they are. We don't often have that in our personal lives because we care about what people think, and we care about how it impacts other people. And when it comes to couples, I think I work really hard with trying to navigate this, like, wait, let that person talk. Wait. You can't jump in and just give your opinion if they weren't finished. You can't jump in and tell them all the ways they're wrong, because if you do, you're never going to understand who that person is and why they think this way and how they show up. And so it just is the safe space that is created where this person can truly like hear and listen and feel like, even if they agree that, yes, I did this thing, it does not mean that they're guilty. Okay, so let me give an example. I often talk to my couples about communication. And the biggest thing, and if somebody says, you said this and it hurt my feelings. And you might agree that you said that, but you know that your intention wasn't to hurt their feelings. And if somebody said it to you, it wouldn't hurt your feelings. And so what happens is we tend to get dismissive and we get defensive because we want to be like, wait, that's not what I said. And even though that's what you said, that's not what I meant, right? And so then we kind of get into this like defensive back and forth where the person's like, well, that's what you said and this is how I felt. And you're saying, well, I didn't mean it that way, so you shouldn't have felt that way, right? And that becomes the issue. In therapy, we're able to help people understand that both can be true. You could have said exactly what they said and you could have hurt their feelings, but you might not have said anything wrong. So you could be in a situation where you say, I did say that, my intention wasn't to cause any harm or hurt to you, and there's nothing wrong with what I said. Because that happens. We say things based on, again, our experiences. And if your experiences when somebody has said that to you before has meant they felt like you were dumb or stupid or annoying or whatever you felt prior to this, you are now attaching that to this situation when that person may not feel that way at all. They might have just questioned what you said and was like, hey, I don't understand that. Why'd you do that? But you heard you're dumb and it hurt your feelings. So both can be true. And so as I cultivate these situations where like we can have an honest conversation around like, yep, I said that. Nope, I don't think I did anything wrong. And no, I don't feel like I have anything to apologize for. Or, yes, I said that I don't think it was anything wrong, but I really do hate that is what comes up for you and that you felt like I meant it this way because I didn't mean it that way, right? So because I'm able to create these type of conversations where it could be true. You could be hurt and that person didn't do anything wrong. And so then they can admit, yes, I did this thing, but also I'm not going to take any, I'm not going to feel guilty or I'm not going to feel shame or put down because you took it a way that I didn't mean for it to come across. Does that make sense? I hope that does. So creating safe spaces is extremely important. And that's why oftentimes people have these epiphany moments in therapy because they have the space to truly like be focused on themselves, to truly listen and hear without the concern of like how it's going to be turned back on them or the nitpicking and all that kind of stuff. So all of that to say, because this feels like a 10-15 minute rant, all of that to say, just don't compare your personal relationships with your therapeutic relationship. It is called a therapeutic relationship for a reason. There's a reason we don't have double relationships where we're doing therapy with our friends or our family, because it can create more difficulty. So this is why we do therapy with strangers, right? They're not strangers once we get to know them, but we do therapy with people that we don't know in our personal life for that very reason. So try to stop with the comparison of what your therapist says versus what your partner says, and stop having people in your life live up to the expectations of a therapist, because that's just not going to be realistic. All right, that's all. Bye.